Super excited. I'm in a little early, but can't wait to see all these seats filled up for our first Pounds Transformation 2024 group session using our virtual reality headsets. Hi.
Hi. Can you see me?
Yeah, absolutely. Tremendous. Oh, there's Chris.
Yeah.
Hello there.
Hello.
I recognize your avatar.
I'm Danae.
Well, thank you. It's good to see you again, Crystal. I saw you at when we were in in the Glastonbury office, and I understand you had some surgery. I'm glad you're on the way back here.
Oh, there we go.
Hey, it's Charles.
Charles, hello.
Charles, what's
Oh,
happening?
and Vicente, I recognize that avatar.
How are you guys?
Amazing. Yeah. So, well, nice to see you. I don't know if we say see you in virtual space, but yes.
Well, it's a brave new world.
Yes, so my name's Devin McNamara. I'm a newer employee at Pounds Transformation.
Hi, I'm Sam Scarmella. I've been with Pounds for maybe like 2 years almost now. I'm always down to try something new.
For me right now, today, I feel perfectly comfortable in this room. There's like, what, 8 of us in here? 7?
Yeah.
So I'm not, like spilling my guts.
And Chris,
All
Dr.
right.
Cavo. So, as you guys all know, but anybody that's that's watching, our goal is to promote an ongoing group of people that have a similar diagnosis. So we're all working with Dr. Cavo at Pounds Transformation in unique ways, I think. But I thought if maybe we could start with Dr. Cavo and go around the table and introduce ourselves and maybe a little bit about how this VR thing feels to you, because today's theme is tech in my healthcare. Dr. Cavo, thank you so much.
Yeah, I was really excited to do this for the first time, and I think it's extremely cutting edge compared to the kind of telemedicine that we're all used to since pretty much COVID. So in any case, when I was approached to start helping SindyXR develop some sort of strategies with regards to how to implement new ways to deliver changes in healthcare, and this is what they came up with, I was absolutely blown away. And I can honestly say that right now, for the first, well, not the first time, but every once in a while, I don't know exactly what to say. I'm speechless, I guess. You guys, SindyXR team, you've done amazing. And I'm so happy that you included me in your entire company as you guys launch. And Danae, Samantha, thank you guys so much for really being courageous to hop into the VR world and, share your thoughts on your experiences with healthcare and what you think of this technology.
So my name is Danae. I've been working with Pounds Transformation for about 1.5 years. I came to the practice after a serious medical condition and major surgery, which just, really affected my entire body. And I think that my favorite thing about Pounds and Dr. Cavo and his team is you treat the whole person, right? It's not an isolated approach to, oh, well, let's lose weight. It's really about the whole person and about wellness. And I love that. And because of that, I'm always excited to have the opportunity to work with him and his partners as other folks continue to get on this journey. And we're seeing such advances technologically, and it'd be nice to use those technological advances to help people, to help people to make care more accessible, to make good care more accessible, rather than just worrying about a robocall that's generated through AI. So excited to be here and looking forward to the possibilities.
I'm Sam Scarmella. I've been with Pounds for maybe like 2 years almost now. It truly brings you to somewhere else, even though you're just in your own home. So it could kind of be an escape from your reality. I'm thinking like fitness wise, it could be escape from like having to go to the gym. Like, sometimes I feel self-conscious at the gym, like, okay, am I doing this machine right? Is somebody gonna like make fun of me or like say like, look at that girl? I mean, I know we're all in our own heads, but it is stuff that crosses my mind. So I think that it'll just be kind of an interesting way to kind of, especially for people who are more introverted, things like that might be helpful.
Community aspect in many fields, but specifically medical, as kind of that's the precipice of the entire company that you guys have built at SindyXR, right? To building that community aspect, I think is so vital. So yes, I think this has been great to kind of hear from actual Pounds patients, really kind of hear some of the things that, obviously you guys have different modes, whether it be kind of like the more traditional quote unquote Zoom mode, doing the AI different features, doing something in person. I think it's just continuing to experiment and kind of seeing, what's working best. I mean, obviously certain patients are going to prefer different methods, but I think kind of using all the different, tools that we have at our disposal to kind of continue to build up that brand.
At the end of the day, it's about storytelling. At the end of the day, it's about sharing with each other our journey and our journey to wellness and health. And I'm also a proud member of Dr. Cavo's Pound Transformation practice and a patient of his as well.
When we first created this type of virtual reality meeting, I was blown away because obviously after doing so many Zoom meetings, um, we came into VR and Charles could actually do this and point at me, and I'm like, oh, exactly, right? Give me thumbs up. It was just amazing to have those gestures and have those, just that expression was incredible. So I'm looking forward to see what you guys feel, how you feel about the technology and about this type of meeting modalities.
For me, virtual reality, this is a little bit like the law of diminishing astonishment, as my business partner likes to say. It's a little bit like, okay, we can do this now. Let's do this. And so it's so exciting to push the envelope together to essentially solve, what for me in my body image and weight journey is a lifelong challenge with new solutions, anything new. So I'm so glad to be here with all of you.
I think that my favorite thing about Pounds and Dr. Cavo and his team is you treat the whole person, right? It's not an isolated approach to, oh, well, let's lose weight. It's really about the whole person and about wellness. And I love that. And because of that, I'm always excited to have the opportunity to work with him and his partners as other folks continue to get on this journey.
Think that's definitely something that is great to be working on with the SindyXR team, as well as our team over at Pounds Transformation, to kind of really create a better and more cohesive community for our patients, future patients, and everything. So super excited to kind of see wherever I can help, and looking forward to getting to know everybody here better.
Support groups, just because I guess you can be whoever, like you can have your avatar, kind of create it who you want to be, kind of create like a different space. So I'm just intrigued by technology all around. I work in blind rehab, and we actually have been like testing like all the meta, the AI, and we rely heavily on technology. So this is something like we're also exploring. So it's kind of cool to see where this kind of comes into play. We take the whole health perspective approach at work, but it's something I also believe in my life as well. So I think that's why I'm very passionate about it, because not only is it part of my regular life, it's part of my professional life as well. So thank you for inviting me to this. I'm very excited about it.
Different experience and another angle in which to provide better care. So this is one of those opportunities where just kind of thinking of all the different possibilities that you could impact people's health in a better way that they haven't done before. For example, I'd just be curious to know from Samantha and Danae, who have done, one-on-one visits in the office. Obviously, that's critical in care and management, but they've also done some different groups, and now here we are in VR. I know we're all just kind of first timers or first comers into this. Like, what are your thoughts with regards to preference in, sitting down in the kitchen at Glastonbury with a group versus something like this with a group of people and having similar discussions? What are, in your viewpoint, pros and cons, and what would your preference be at the end of the day?
I think that. Oh, go ahead, Danae.
Go ahead, Sam. Go ahead.
Sure. I think that the great thing about this platform is that, we are all logging in at the comfort of our own homes or wherever we may be. I don't mind driving to Glastonbury, but it's about an hour for me. And I drive an hour to and from work every day as well. So, it's not stressful, but it does, cause a little bit of, okay, an hour appointment is now going to take me 3 hours, an hour to get there, an hour to stay there, and then an hour to get back. So I think this definitely would be more accessible, and it'd be easier potentially, but I also find value in the person-to-person, face-to-face interaction and contact as well. So I think it's important to always have that balance of both, having both options.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think balance in both options. I don't think this is a replacement. I think there's value to going in and stepping on that scale. And obviously you're not taking my blood pressure from this space here. But in terms of my own personal comfort level, sharing in this environment versus when we were in Glastonbury, I feel no different. Like, this is totally fine to me. You all feel like regular people, and I don't feel like more freer or inhibited because we're in this setting. So I think and Sam, you mentioned this in your, I guess I'll call it opening remarks, like talking about younger folks, right? I mean, I think this is going to be so just second nature, right? I mean, I've got a 16 and a 17-year-old. I could see my son like diving into this kind of opportunity. He had some health issues and he was attending a support group with his peers for a while, and that experience of learning that, oh my gosh, I'm not the only one who has this condition, was transformative in his approach to his health conditions. And I think if we make this setting accessible to that generation, especially with obesity in kids, and I think I could see it being super successful there. So.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
Well, Devin,
I
speak.
agree.
Okay. Yeah, go ahead, please.
I was just going to say, I totally agree with regards to what both of you said, the balance between human to human connectivity versus something like this. And so I think the balance is really important. I do think that an environment like this certainly does open the door for people that, like you had said, are more introverted without a doubt, and gives an opportunity to sort of ask questions that they might not have asked in other sort of formats and that sort of thing.
I have a question. When you're coming into the room here, obviously you know how beautiful Pounds Transformation is in person, and beautiful offices they have, 3 offices, and it's always a great experience being there personally. When you came into this sort of Pounds Transformation SindyXR room, I'd be interested in your perspective. I mean, I think the design sense that Vicente and Charles had is to create an environment that isn't so bells and whistles. You know from your experience in virtual reality, you can have a lot of waterfalls, you can have a lot of things flying through the air, and there's probably some fun and ways to doing that, and certainly that's an evolution aspect to it. But the idea of coming into an environment, do you feel safe here? Do you feel like we're in a professional environment where you can communicate? Because a lot of things that are communicated to Dr. Cavo and the staff are very personal, right? They're things that you may, not say outside of an office environment. And I'm interested in how comfortable you feel here.
I mean, this is a hard question for me because I'm actually a registered interior designer by education. And,
Well, we'll subscribe to your
20 years of
services.
doing
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
So it's a tricky question to ask me because I definitely this feels like a corporate conference room, and if I were to sit in a corporate conference room, I would want to see artwork on the walls, and that's what's missing here. So there's no artwork.
Good feedback.
You got plans, which when you're in interior design school, like that's what you do when you don't know what to put in the corner. But I actually,
we may need to sign you up.
That's fine. I love the ceiling because it really, like when I look up, I feel like the sky's the limit.
Sure.
And I can do anything, right? Because there's not a ceiling here. So I think you nailed it on your ceiling.
I think by using something like this platform, it kind of opens two different doors. One of them is the safety net of I can conceal my identity if I wanted to. Like, obviously, the people who are running this meeting know who I am, and they have invited me here. But if I didn't want, like, I know Danae from the last time, but if I said, oh, my name is Rachel, and then I told my story from A to Z, it might make me feel more comfortable. Versus like when we did it last time in person, I was mindful in what I was saying. Not that I was embarrassed of anything that I was saying, but just knowing that would essentially could be accessible to whoever, if you posted it on YouTube or wherever it was. So I think in this platform here, it might be beneficial for somebody who is not as confident and comfortable to kind of really truly say, oh, like maybe we run into each other every single day and these things are private, but we also have the common ground of this journey, this health journey with pounds that kind of would help. And the other thought I had is that I do feel safe in showing who I am and revealing my true self because I have built that relationship with Dr. Kivo. I've been working with him for a while. He's seen me at my highs and at my lows and in betweens. And so I feel safe with the group of people that he would recommend me to here. I don't think he would ever put me in a situation that like might not be beneficial to me or helpful to me. So I think the combination of those two different things are very helpful in feeling uncomfortable with this type of a platform.
Any other thoughts about like I kind of want to reframe technology. I know I said sort of, tech in my healthcare, but I'm curious about how you guys think about technology. And I just want to share, as I put at the bottom of this little, feel free to ignore agenda, but I wonder if technology sometimes overruns innovation. And what made me think of this was the other night I was watching a Facebook Live with one of the nutritionists from Pounds and Dr. Cavo, and they were talking about natural dietary foods that create more GLP-1. And I'm thrilled to be on Mounjaro and trying something new, which I see kind of the same as exercising in virtual reality, right? It's just another solution for us. But I wonder if we could start with Dr. Cavo maybe about like how the food is medicine, 2,000-year-old idea, but yet now we have these kinds of, I don't know what, magic pill, dare I say? Like, what are your thoughts about that?
I think that the technology and healthcare systems are coming together in such a unique and fast way that we at Pounds Transformation are exploring all sorts of different possibilities. So with regards to the medical medicines, I guess, in technology, I think that's maybe a different conversation to have. I don't know if we really want to get into GLP medications or what have you. We certainly could. We use them quite often. But as far as just the technology and where we are right now in this space in virtual reality, and as I think Samantha and Danae just pointed out, I think it's really incredible that you could come into an office in a space like this and one, not leave your house, and two, look like whoever you want to look like in case there's any kind of feeling of shame or guilt, which there shouldn't be, but lots of people do feel uncomfortable in their skin these days for different reasons, and this just resolved all of those problems. And I think that that's amazing. And then along those lines with technology, and Samantha had mentioned artificial intelligence, we just posted out a partnership that we've been working on for a while with an AI company that deals specifically with food. And the coming together of technology like virtual reality, the coming together of artificial intelligence, and what people are looking for with regards to efficient ways to see physicians and get care. And like Devin said, join into common groups of people who might share similar conflicts is, I think, just again, I'm amazed at what we're doing today here. So I hope in the recordings that you put out there, other people can appreciate how amazing this actually is.
How about you guys as other patients, Sam or Danae? Any thoughts about redefining technology or innovation? How do you see this fitting in to your journey?
I would be curious more about, I know you had sent out some apps regarding like different, I think there might have been like exercises or maybe meditations and things like that. And I think it's just a great opportunity, whether if you're not able to leave your house for many reasons, you don't have to have a gym membership, you don't have to, I don't know, I just think it opens a lot of doors and it opens a lot of opportunities for people that might not have the typical access to it.
Yeah, I like what you said about the app, Sam, because the exercise one, right? I mean, how hard is it to motivate yourself to go to the gym, right? And I mean, believe me, I love to go to the gym, but what I don't like is to come home from work, to have to make that stop, to change my clothes. As silly as it sounds, right? It's one more step. So it's like, even though I'm working out for 30 minutes, I've had to commit an hour of my day between changing, going to the gym, making arrangements at home. And if I were able to say, meet in the metaverse or whatever we're supposed to call this, and do an exercise program, especially to touch on what you said about community, meet with a buddy, be like, hey, let's meet at 8 o'clock after the kids are in bed, and you spend your 30 minutes and you've just saved 30 minutes, but you've still accomplished something and you're doing it with someone. So even if you're feeling very lousy and you just want to sit on the couch in your jammies, you've made the commitment to your workout buddy. No, we're meeting at 8 o'clock. And so now there's a different level of accountability, and there's so much less, commitment in a sense to going to the gym. It's no longer something that feels overwhelming. It's something that feels very achievable. So I think there's real promise there as it relates to the apps. And yeah, I don't know.
100%, 100%. That's so true. I think that staying in it, like for me, staying in it, I can go right from here. Supernatural is the app that Sam was mentioning. Like there's another one, Trip, that I love, which is more about meditation and breathing. But like just the idea that I don't take this off and walk outside past Dunkin' Donuts is a huge win for me.
Yeah. And I think in terms of like other aspects of healthcare, I think something like this could be really helpful if you're in physical therapy, right? Because your therapist is theoretically able to see how you're moving your body, and maybe you don't have to, go to your physical therapy appointment to be sure that you're, doing everything correctly. And not to say that that goes away, but, if you're assigned exercises and you're having a hard time, oh, hey, can you meet me in this virtual space and make sure I'm doing this exercise correctly? That becomes a 5-minute situation versus, 2 hours. So.
Absolutely.
Another
Devin,
thing I'll say,
yeah.
another
Oh,
thing
yeah,
I'll say, I'm
please,
sorry,
please,
but
sorry.
that
No,
I'm
go.
realizing about just this meeting that we're having, while we're outside of, the real space and everything, I think there's a connection that happens in virtual reality, having conversations and listening to patients like this, because you can't look at your cell phone. You can't be distracted by an email coming in. Nobody in my office can really send me any messages to look at this or look at that, which can be incredibly distracting. And I see it happen to my patients. I know it happens to me. It's almost like we're all in a sort of scenario of being ADD with all the different sort of distractions that happen. But here, what Danae just said, everybody had to kind of listen, because you have to look and you have to see and you have to be present here in this space. And I think that actually is pretty intriguing also. I don't know if you guys are all having similar experiences with that, but I certainly am enjoying not being distracted by phones or anything else going on around me.
By all means.
Great point.
And it's interesting to, even though it's early days and early adoption, and maybe it's the younger set that maybe adopt first, but in reality, it's amazing to have a technology that that allows for the humanization. Let me explain what I mean by that. Danae and I were talking a little bit. We both have a little bit of Italian in us, and some of us speak with our hands. And sometimes it's a nonverbal look or feel that ultimately makes a connection that you don't see in a typical telehealth session or a Zoom-like environment, even though there's a lot of benefit for that coming out. But coming out of a pandemic world, and we've talked about this in some of the other meetings that we've had with Pounds Transformation, sometimes, when you're suffering from an ailment, there's a certain loneliness that comes into play, right? There's a certain desire, though, even though we couldn't get out of the house because we're recovering for certain things or aren't able to get into Pounds Transformation on a in-person basis all the time, to be able to be in an environment where we can really connect. And sometimes an amazing thing happens. It's sort of a little bit of the alchemy of getting a group of like-minded people together, whether it's in person or now in this environment of virtual reality. All of a sudden the technology sort of fades away, right? And you can sort of see both verbally as well as non-verbally, but ideally in the way we interact with each other, it becomes very human. And in some ways it becomes a safe environment, a quiet, no distraction, safe environment where we can share things that perhaps would not be able to share with other folks that aren't in a similar condition as we are. And I think that's a very human aspect of it. And as somebody who's been involved with technology in my whole career, when you can transcend that to have a better human experience, then you're onto something. What I'm excited about hearing is there's a certain sense of agency, a power, empowering. We think about technology, and Dr. Cava mentioned sometimes technology gets in the way of our empowerment. We have sometimes issues with time management, being sort of broken into. We're trying to concentrate on something, getting somewhat interrupted. But the idea of bringing and using in technology to provide that sense of agency, to allow you some anonymity. Perhaps you want to be anonymous, or perhaps you want to not feel like you're having a bad day, but your avatar is having a good day. So that's okay. You're still going to contribute. You don't feel like it's, you have a Pound Transformation in-person meeting next week, but today you're going to be sharing with your Pound Transformation friends here in this environment from the comfort of your home.
Yeah, and I love that you're beginning to kind of disconnect the visual, right? How you appear on that video that we shot in Glastonbury as Sam, and then how you appear now, because I don't think you're any less you, but could we be using our current blood sugar levels as a group of people that are using, continuous glucose monitors to measure ourself in the moment? Could it be like, oh man, I've been in VR now for over an hour, wow, my blood sugar is going down. Could that be something that helps Charlie know that, like, oh, he needs to ask a question now because I just dipped or something, like there are other ways to be yourself. And if we're going to spend 90% of our lives as our digital selves, whatever that is, we have to begin to parse out those kinds of different metrics, those different measurement tools. And for me, at least, I want to know, like, okay, great. So then how did I do? What did what was the AI analysis of this and that? And what does this group, how does it mesh with other groups and things like that? And so being in a shared environment that feels real, but like you said, you can't really tell whether I'm massively bloated today or not, just removes that judge a book by its cover, body shape, body shame, which I deal with every time I go into Pounds Transformation and anywhere else I go. It's a fact of life that's just completely different in this particular get together.
Yeah.
One last thing. I wonder about, like, listening to Dr. Cavo mention the kitchen and things like that. Like, maybe we could just go around. Maybe Sam, we'll start with you. And is there an opportunity in this virtual world that we're trying to build it, right? As a generation, we have this opportunity to pass it along to the next generation, whatever that may be. What do you think about, like, I'm going to bring up shopping and cooking as a community building way. It's something I've seen you do with YouTube videos over the years. You built an amazing kitchen that, I've heard your nutritionists call a pharmacy. What's the crazy, let's go out with the craziest idea that you could imagine in this. What do you think of, Sam? What pops to mind?
I mean, you mentioned shopping, and Marshall's is my downfall. I love shopping.
Oh,
I mean,
nice.
I even love the grocery store. Like, I'm somebody that goes to the grocery store multiple times a week. I just love shopping. So I mean, yeah, I think that would be really cool. Like a cool way, something to explore that's different.
And you can suggest to your nephew to shop and maybe buy a different vest or something for the next time that you're in VR. Devin, what about you?
I was shocked.
I think it's a nice fall color, so I'm gonna go on team vest.
The funny thing is, he does not dress like this. He wears sweatpants and a hoodie, so I don't know.
Oh yeah.
What's your craziest idea, Dev?
Yeah, I think, I mean, that's a tough question, but I think being able to kind of expand past just what is their 10 seats here. If we ever got to a point in the future, obviously, having it being adaptable to patients and stuff, but being able to kind of do seminars and then kind of break the people off into groups and kind of have smaller rooms like this. I think things like that, where you can kind of build that patient-to-patient bond, whether it be over, similar ailments or whatever it may be.
Weight loss for the masses. Weight loss for the masses. Spread the Pounds Transformation phlebotomy to every corner of the earth. Nicely done. Yeah. Danae, what's your craziest, what do you got?
Well, I apologize. My headset died there, so I'm plugged in now. But so apologize for missing a moment there. Well, actually, I don't know if it's totally crazy because I've kind of forced myself on Dr. Cavo here. Is I would love to see community cookbook because how many times a week do you sit and think, what's for dinner, right? And want to choose something that, is on plan, let's say, for whatever your journey is, but also where, the work of what it is already kind of laid out for you. So that's something that I've kind of been talking with Dr. Cavo about how to do, just to build on that sense of community. I mean, I know I probably have like 20 or 30 recipes, and if every patient had 20 or 30 recipes, we now have, limitless possibilities and how to keep this journey fun and exciting. And then you're building your support group there, right, by sharing together. So I guess seeing what could happen with that. But I think really having the support group outside of the office visit is still, I think, core to what I think could be the biggest value for something like this.
Love the food theme. I'm going to piggyback on that. And as an avid traveler, mostly for work, I want to have food with my kids every night. You know, I want to eat, I want to meet, you know, whatever. I want to have family dinner, no matter how disjointed the family is, geographically, emotionally, age-wise. I want to keep that fireside chat around the dining room table. How about you, Vicente? What's your craziest VR hope?
Well, you know what I will say, I'm not sure about my hope right now, but I loved hearing everything I heard from you guys, right? So on the design side, so I heard you, right? So there's some work to be done on the design side. But one thing that really struck me, Dr. Cable, was that twice you mentioned about the time factor, right? Which that was also one of my biggest takeaways when we first started having these meetings in VR. We were like, wow, we were here 90 minutes and it didn't feel that way, right? And I think you stressed that, you know, the way I would put it is that you feel more engaged because you're not looking at your cell phone, you're not actively looking at these things. And I think that makes for a very different interaction. Right, with the participants. And I love that. I heard that you mentioned it twice. I kept track of it. So, you know, that's my biggest takeaway, that this is a great form factor, but we do have to go back, take a look at some of those design elements to make it even more comfortable for the folks coming in.
Excellent. You know, the key word that Vicente mentions is engage, right? It's about engagement. It's about feeling connected as we go through this journey. I mean, that is what brought me to SindyXR. I don't have a background in medical or technology related to that, but the connection, the human connection is ultimately what it's all about. That's point one. Second point is, key on what Devin said, education. You know, ultimately, we're all learning from each other, right? There are life learnings. There's learning about people's journey, about best practices around healthcare, best practices around technology, for that matter. And I think one of the founding principles of Pound Transformation, as far as I can tell, Dr. Cavo, and also of SindyXR, which is why we have a great partnership here, is on education. And the more we can educate each other with the core of Pounds, but ultimately from each other's experience, is better. And I look forward to things that we've been talking about around courses, around even just having this discussion, you know, after dinner discussion, you know, to be able to do that. We just had dinner with our family, and now after dinner, we may be sitting here with our Pounds family a little bit, just talking about things that we may not be talking to our family members directly about, you know, given that we're all perhaps in a similar situation from a medical perspective. And the third point is comfort. You know, one of the things that was an eye-opener for me, and for some of you folks that haven't been able to experience this, there's something called pass-through. Pass-through is a mode on these classes where if I went into pass-through mode, it would look like you guys are all sitting in my living room. So, you know, eventually I think is going to happen is that this pass-through will get so good, and the rendering of our avatars would get so good that it looks like, talk about the most comfortable feeling at all, is that we're all sitting not in a table, maybe not even a couch, but rather on my couch, you know, and it's a pretty amazing thing. I encourage you to look at it, because I know I've been in situations where Charles has been sitting in my living room with my golden retriever right next to him. Of course, it's not really. He's in New York, I'm in Boston, but the psychological benefit of feeling like we're all kind of literally in my living room is one that I really enjoyed. And I think that's just an evolutionary aspect to the technology, you know, just like anything else. You know, in the old days of computers, this big, you know, Charles mentioned the law of diminishing astonishment. We used to walk in and say, well, this is great. We have this big computer on my desk. Of course, now we can do it all on a handheld device. And I look forward to our partnership, particularly with you, Dr. Cavo, as we explore in the universe, literally, and onward and upward. You know, maybe final word to you, Dr. Cavo.
Yeah, thanks a lot, everybody, again, for taking the time to catch up with this. My crazy idea that I had while I was enjoying the time spent is in order to get into this room, I don't know if everybody did, but I had to press a public button or something to get in. And I was thinking as we were talking about what happens if you didn't go into a private room? What happens if you just always had a public room that was open? So that I know some people go onto Facebook or Instagram or TikTok to sort of get away or see what's happening in the, in the world or catch up. But what happens if there's you could put the goggles on, just go into a public room? Then when people come into Pounds, we give them a questionnaire to sort of understand their eating habits, behaviors, and styles. And we hone in on some of their habits, and mindless eating, or eating when you're not hungry, or, just having food around and eating later on in the day are all sort of Achilles heels for people. And what happens if instead of doing those things, you could just put the goggles on and go into the public room where other people might have similar reasons for being there, and actually having conversations with people rather than the mindless eating that might go on? You could significantly reduce a lot of calories that are unneeded during that time, because time goes by so fast. And if it's 5 o'clock to 6 o'clock is the time that you usually find yourself craving something or being hungry, and you have a public room to go and meet some people and share some recipes and talk about a cookbook that's being made, maybe that would offset some of those undesirable habits. And I just was thinking that would be pretty interesting to just put the goggles on, and you don't know who's behind the door, but maybe it's the dietitians, maybe it's me, maybe it's other patients. You don't know what you could get, but just to always have a door open would be kind of cool, I think.
I love that idea. And during a particular time, it's from 7 to 9, it's open hours, office hours, or something like that. Charles?
Yeah.
I'll meet you here anytime.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Well, thanks a lot, everybody. Totally appreciate it. And, look forward to seeing the next venture. So that's cool.
Yeah,
excellent.
It's been great.
All right. Bye, everybody.
Bye. Have a great day.
Bye-bye.
Happy Friday.
Happy Friday.